All right, Cancer, welcome back. This is your January 2021 horoscope and taroscope. I'm Ryan with Arrows of Love. We're going to talk about what's happening in the sky for January, and then we're going to pull some tarot and a couple cards from the Angels Oracle. January is an intense month, Cancer. The sun right now, which is your vitality and your focus, is sitting in Capricorn. And Capricorn is your opposite sign, so that is your 7th house. Capricorn is 7 signs past Cancer. The 7th house is all about one-on-one relationships, marriages, and legal contracts. So over this last month, at least until January 19th, you're going to be focused a lot on your one-on-one relationships. And this has been a theme for you in all of 2020 with Saturn and Jupiter sitting in Capricorn all through 2019, 2020. And Saturn was there for the last 3 years since December of 2017. So this is just a review, again, of what was happening in 2020. The sun is going to move into Aquarius on January 19th, and this is your 8th house. Aquarius is 8 signs past Cancer. The 8th house is the most intense house in the zodiac. It's about death and rebirth. It's about the transformation process. It's about hidden things, sex, taxes, death, psychology, and astrology and the occult. So if you get into any of astrological readings, this is the reason why you're being forced to go deep and really go into your emotions. This is a very emotional house. The 8th house is ruled by Pluto. It's a Scorpion house. So think about any type of themes that come out with Scorpio. It can be very seductive, very attractive, but it can be also very secretive. It's things not seen. So this entire month is going to be about revelations, new beginnings, and transformation. Pluto is going to be in that 7th house in Capricorn until 2024, so it's going to be deconstructing and reconstructing your one-on-one relationships for the next several years. So we are not done with this Pluto energy. The dispositor of January, however, is Mars, and we've talked about Mars a lot in previous videos. Mars was in Aries for the last 6 months. And the reason why it was in Aries for 6 months is because it retrograded through its home sign back in September, October, and November. Aries is your 10th house, and that is about career, it's about the public and reputation. So if you want to think about what was happening back in that September, October, November timeframe, anything happening on the work front, that's the reason for any type of disruption regarding career is because of that Mars retrograde. It's finally leaving Aries, Mars. It's at the very last degree. It's called the anaretic degree in Aries, and it's a really painful point, to be quite honest. Mars is about aggression. It's assertiveness. It's ambitious. It's a pioneer. It's what gets you up in the morning. So at that very last degree in its home sign, it can be quite irritated and a little bit frustrated. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some aggressive energy today and tomorrow. Mars is going to leave Aries on January 8th, and it's going to move into Taurus. And Taurus is your 11th house. Taurus is 11 signs past Cancer. The 11th house is all about hopes, wishes, and dreams. It's about technology and innovation. It's about change. It's about shock and awe. The 11th house is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus rules through shock and awe and through rebellion and quick change. So things are definitely going to be changing up for you, Cancer, and really it's about the future. So where is your future going? Uranus has been sitting in that the 11th house in Taurus for the last year or so, and it's been urging us to really think about what the future is going to look like. January 8th, messenger planet Mercury, this is also what's on your mind, this is how we communicate, it's also ideas, is moving through Capricorn, and it's leaving Capricorn, and at that very first degree, 0 degrees of Aquarius, it's going to make a challenging square over to Mars, sitting in the 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, friends, groups, associations, technology, and innovation. Mercury is in that 8th house, and we just talked about the 8th house. This is death and rebirth. This is transformation. This is passion and sex. taxes and insurance. So when the two meet up like this, there's undertones of possible financial difficulties here. The 8th house also rules lump sums and credit. Mars, sitting in the 11th, has some financial undertones as well. And then the moon is going to be opposing Mars on January 8th as well. So the moon will be sitting in Scorpio. It's the 5th house. The 5th house rules children, fun and games, romance, but the 5th house also rules investment. So there's a theme of investments, lump sums, and money here all through January 8th. So you might be dealing with some unexpected expenses coming up, or you might be looking at your finances around that January 8th timeframe. And Mercury, Mars, again, this is the messenger planet. There could be some aggressive communication or irritating communication around that time. The good news is the love planet Venus is going to be sitting in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, marriage, legal contracts, and it's going to be making a harmonizing trine. This is a 120-degree aspect over to Mars in your 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, the future, technology and innovation, friends and groups associations. So there could be some good stabilizing energy here with one-on-one relationships and friends if there are aggressive communications coming through on January 8th. We move forward to January 13th, and now Mars, moving through your 11th house in Taurus, is going to be making another challenging square over to Saturn, which just moved into your 8th house of transformation, death and rebirth, psychology, going deep. It's things unseen. So this day is going to be a very challenging one, and you're going to have to ground this energy because Mars is very assertive. It wants to get up and move. It wants to move forward. But Saturn is a restrictive planet. It creates delay. It's also about responsibility and determination. So Mars, you might be really thinking about the future. You know, it's New Year's. People are thinking about resolutions. They want to start making things happen, especially in a time of COVID. We want to move forward. But Saturn's putting the brakes on, even the red light, and saying, not so fast. We need to take a deep look at what's happening in your life. January 13th is it's a day of more happenings in the sky. It's also a new moon happening in Capricorn in your 7th house. So again, there's this undertone of relationships and what's happening with relationships, things unseen, and the future. So a new moon occurs when the moon crosses over the sun, and it creates the new lunar cycle, which is a time of new beginnings. It's time to plant the seed for what it is you want in the upcoming lunar cycle. The thing is with this particular new moon is it's going to be extremely close to Pluto, within 1 degree, which is sitting in that 7th house. And Pluto is about death and rebirth. It's about transformation. It's about secrets being revealed. So the sun, which represents the light, shining a light on Pluto, things could come up that are not expected, secrets revealed. This could be covert energy as well. So be aware of that. The 13th is going to be an extremely challenging day, and we need to be able to take that energy down and be able to ground it. Again, Venus, sitting in your 7th house, is in a stabilizing place in Capricorn. So we can ground this energy with any type of creativity or artistic abilities, because Venus is going to be making a harmonizing trine over to Uranus in that 11th house of future. Friends, groups, associations. So this is great. This is even great for music. It can create an amorphous love type energy. So again, look to Venus, look to harmonize and to blend into a grounding type of energy that will take this really explosive energy down with Mars and Saturn. The other interesting thing about the 13th is Mars and Saturn, that's a 90-degree angle when we talk about squares. Neptune happens to be right in the middle of Mars and Saturn. So that's called a semi-square, which is a 45-degree angle. And Neptune has been sitting in your 9th house of spirituality, higher education, long-distance travel, foreign people, and foreign lands. Neptune, however, is also very nebulous and cloudy. It's a transcendent type of energy. It's the second to last planet. And it oftentimes is associated with pandemic and the virus. So we might see another spike with COVID around that January 13th timeframe, which coincides with Christmas travel and New Year's. So watch for that around the 13th. January 17th now rolls around, right after this difficult aspect with Mars and Saturn. Now Jupiter, moving forward through your 8th house, is going to square Uranus in the 11th. So what this means, Jupiter is a benefic planet. It's the planet of expansion. It does very well in Aquarius. So even if things are pretty intense in that 8th house, Jupiter is going to have a soothing effect on us, and it's going to bring in nice things as it separates from Saturn. But first, it's going to make the square over to Uranus, and this is great for innovation. We might see some type of new music come out this day. It's also a very spiritual aspect. So if you are getting any psychic downloads in your dreams, be sure you're writing those down and taking notes on them, because this activates a lot of spirituality. This also has to deal with astrology. So if you're looking for an astrology reading, my email is down in the description box. So be sure to send me a message and we can set up some time. Now we're in January 20th. Mars is keep moving forward in Taurus. And now it's going to conjoin Uranus at 6 degrees of Taurus. This is an explosive day. The moon is very close to these two planets as well. And this is all sitting in the 11th house. Hopes, wishes, and dreams, friends, groups, associations, and technology and innovation. So this is also Inauguration Day. Uranus is associated with rebellion, shock and awe, and change. So we might see a lot of things on the national news this day, about people protesting the new administration. This type of energy is explosive, so we might see some natural disasters come about this day too. Again, you're going to want to take this energy down. Make sure you're getting plenty of exercise. The excessive energy can come across as extremely aggressive and even violent at times. So go out, get some exercise, get some fresh air if you can. Do some yoga to take the mental tension down. January 23rd, the squares continue. Mars is now going to square Jupiter, and Jupiter sitting in that 8th house. This can point to some premature action. You want to make sure that you look before you leap and you don't do anything you might regret later. Again, there's some good news with this though, because the sun has now moved out of Capricorn and it's now sitting in Aquarius, and it's going to conjoin or align with stabilizing Saturn, restrictive Saturn. Saturn's all about responsibility and discipline. So if what I read with this is, if there's this need to take some premature action, some impulsive action, anything dealing with those 8th house matters, sex, rebirth, psychology, your future, be sure you're disciplined about this and you're responsible and you take your time and you really think about it, because there can be some consequences with taking premature action around the 23rd. The good news, again, is that Venus is harmonizing and creating a sextile to Neptune. Venus is sitting in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships and marriage, creativity, legal contracts. Neptune sitting in the 9th of your ideals, personal beliefs, higher education. So this is really great for romance and creativity. And the sextile aspect, which is 6-degree angle, is all about opportunities. So you have to go out and find it. There are opportunities there. You got to put yourself out there. If you are single, if you're in a partnership, there's opportunities here to really ratchet up the romance front if you're looking for that. January 26th, now the sun's still sitting in the 8th house in Aquarius. It's going to create another square over to Uranus sitting in the 11th. Again, it's a lot about the 8th house and the 11th house. Death and rebirth and the new future for you, Cancer. Sun Uranus can create a lot of tension. It's a need for change, independence. But again, make sure you're going slow. You're thinking things through, because premature action here does not give you the results that you're going to want in the end. Transiting Venus on January 28th is now getting close to Pluto, and they're going to align in your 7th house. Venus-Pluto can be extremely passionate. It can be, it creates a magnetic energy. Pluto is about power. Pluto is about the death and rebirth process. So you might be revitalizing relationships during this time, and it creates great passion. On the negative side, it also creates obsession and jealousy. Past life partners can come back. Exes can come back during this time. So be aware that there's some really great things happening with that Venus-Pluto, but it can also indicate endings and revelations, because Pluto represents secrets. It's things from the underworld, so things might come up in relationships during that time. As if all of this wasn't enough, we're going to end the month with starting with Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to station on January 30th, and that's going to be in the 8th house. Same thing. This is psychology, the occult, astrology, death and rebirth, sex, taxes, and insurance. So Mercury is going to retrograde just in Aquarius from January 30th to February 21st. It's about 3 weeks. After that time, well, let me say this. So Venus is going to enter what's called the shadow phase around January 15th. So what that means is the points at which it's going to retrograde, we're going to see those degrees come about around the January 15th timeframe. So pay attention to what's happening about those 2 weeks before January 30th, because you're going to get a flavor of what needs review. Mercury retrograde is all about review, slowing down, readjustments. It's all about taking your time here and really thinking about that 8th house. So for you, Cancer, again, a lot happening on relationship front with Venus, which is great for relationships. So if you're looking, now is the time to get yourself out there, get yourself on some dating apps. If you are in a partnership and you're looking to revitalize some of that passion and romance, January 8th is a great day for that. Venus is going to trine Mars. January 23rd is a great day. Venus is going to sextile Neptune, and then Venus will conjoin Pluto in that 7th house. So again, that's really great for passion and lighting that fire again. But otherwise, we got a lot of squares to deal with. It's all about endings, rebirth, and the new future, technology, innovation, and then friends and social groups too. So you might see some shakeup on that front as well. All right, Cancer, so that's what's happening in the sky. I have been shuffling before I got on here. We're going to pull some angel oracle. We're going to see what's happening in that love department. Venus sitting in that 7th house is real great for you, Cancer. And, with Saturn and Jupiter just leaving that 7th house, this is the time when, if you've been doing the work, great gifts can come your way on the marriage front if that's what you've been looking for, or if you're looking to revitalize your relationship. That 7th house, it's a romance house. It's long-term partnerships. Let's see what else. The 8th house is, again, about passion and intimacy. So you got some things happening on the love front here. But like I said, the 8th house is about transformation, death and rebirth process. It's about psychology and going deep. It's intense emotions. So, there could be some intense things happening over the next month here, especially with Uranus shaking things up. So this is a general reading, Cancer. Not all of these messages will apply to you. Take what resonates with you, leave the rest. Sometimes, depending on what's happening in your natal chart, your moon, rising, and Venus sign will speak more to you. So you might want to check those out. All right, Cancer, let's see what's happening. Romantic feelings. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. 7th house matters. 8th house matters. You got a lot of planets lining up in that 8th house, especially come next month in February. There's going to be 5 planets sitting in that 8th house. So you're going to have some really big things happen over the course of February, but January really is lining it up for you. Deception. Someone is wearing a false self-mask in your relationship. We talked about Pluto. Pluto's secrets. Pluto is things unseen. Venus is going to cross over Pluto on January 28th. Pluto is also going to be involved in that new moon on January 13th. So those are 2 days you really want to watch what's happening in your relationships, because things might come to light. So let's clarify a little bit further with the tarot. I'm going to give this a couple more shuffles for you, Cancer. Your 11th house is being triggered here too. So this could be someone, this could be a friend, not necessarily a partner, or a romantic interest. We're going to find out. Group associations are involved with that 11th house too. So this could come from a couple different sources, especially with that tension with the 8th and the 11th houses being triggered for you. Let's take a look. Cancer. So we have romantic feelings and some deception somewhere. Let's see what the tarot has to say. Okay, the first one here is justice. The lovers, here they are. That's a choice. Ace of Pentacles. This is an offer of some type. Six of Wands. Five of Wands. And Two of Pentacles. All right, Cancer. So romantic feelings. The first one you have here is the Justice card. And this is interesting because Justice is the 11th house here. So we just talked about the 11th house in detail. This is where Mars and Uranus and the Moon are going to be aligning on. I want to make sure I give you the right date again. The 20th. So with Justice, this is exactly what it is. Something is coming about this day, probably around the 20th or the 23rd, where maybe you've had some intuition about a romantic partner, or someone you might be interested in, and you're going to have to start making a decision about it. The angels are saying this is worth exploring, so you need to put yourself out here, but there's definitely something coming to light around this area. And like I said, it's the 11th, so it's probably something with group associations, friends, and the future. And it's the scales are present here. So this could actually have something to do with the law as well. This has a legal aspect to it. But really, I think what this is more or less something's coming to light and justice is being served. And you're going to have to make a decision here, Cancer. You are an intuitive sign. You're going to know what to do here. The Lovers is obviously about, the lovers, but it's also about a choice. And which direction do you go? And the very next card here is the Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace is the new cycle. It is an offer being reached here. So you might be getting an offer of love that you've been working on for quite some time, or you might be starting anew, depending on which decision you decide to make with the Lovers. Keep in mind, there's some type of deception in the air that you're going to be rooting out. Like I said, Cancer, you are the most intuitive sign of the zodiac. So you will be able to figure this out if it's not explicitly told to you. Like I said, Mercury is going to be making some challenging aspects over to Mars and Uranus in those beginning days of January 8th and the 12th. So, there could be some aggressive and revelations coming through around that time. And then again, with that new moon crossing over Pluto, that secret's revealed. And it's, you have, it might seem like a victory at first, Cancer, because this is the victory card. Like perhaps you're trying to root out an issue, or maybe you had some intuition about something and it's finally coming to light here and you're going to feel like it's a victory. But I have to caution you because the very next card is the Five of Wands, and that's battle. That's a struggle with some other people here. So be careful how you're communicating with other people if there is some type of deception that comes to light here, because the very next card again, it has to do with some karma, and it has to do with a juggling or a balancing act that maybe you're trying to decide what to do next, because If you've had some intuition about it and you've been ruminating about it for some time, you probably have been trying to decide what happens next. But like I said, there is tense energy in the air in all of January. And this Five of Wands is exactly what I was talking about with all those squares to Uranus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury. It's a lot. It's a lot of type of these, it's aggressive battling energy. So again, you're going to want to take this down as much as you possibly can. But the fact that you have, you know, some type of news, some type of new start coming here, and like I said, there's karmic ties attached to this. So, you know, let's pull another card for the outcome. Let's see how this is going to end. Yeah, you're not sure what to do. You're going to have to sit and wait on this for a little bit. So you have the Eight of Swords. This can create some mental tension for you. So it's the woman bound. She's got a blindfold on. She's not seeing things clearly. So what I'm going to say to you, Cancer, is play this one out. Don't make any impulsive moves during the month of January. Let the energy ride out. Try not to engage in any of these battles. Something's going to feel like a victory here, you know, but it's going to cause some rifts, and you're not going to be sure what to do next. And I think what the message is here is you're going to have to wait this one out. Don't make any premature moves like I've talked about in these videos. Be sure you're grounding yourself with meditation and plenty of exercise, and the answer will come to you. You are the most intuitive sign. Allow the universe to point you in the right direction. Allow your guides to direct you. But the choice is definitely coming here. And it's going to feel quite intense, and you're going to be ruminating about this for a while. Give yourself until, I would say, if this revelation's coming about in mid-January, what I'm going to say is try and give yourself as much time as possible, because Mercury is going to be retrograding through that 8th house, and that creates a lot of confusion and that slows things down. So if you can wait until February 21st, 22nd, 23rd, that's when Mercury is going to station direct and start moving forward again. That's a good time to start communicating and start thinking about where to go next. But otherwise, don't take any premature action, Cancer. If you enjoyed these videos, please click that like button. Please subscribe. It helps the channel. Cancer, I wish you the best. Take it slow this month. We'll talk to you next month.